It's crazy looking at QNT this far under $100. I've always said that sub $100 on QNT was a accumulation zone for me. Anything under $100 because I personally believe long term when utility does matter, QNT is going to be one of the biggest players in this space. And we're going to be talking about that. So welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. And guys, if you're not in the free Discord, there's over 6,000 plus members in that Discord. It is one of the best. In fact, it is the #1 crypto Discord in the space. I put everything on that. What are you guys waiting for? Tap in. First link in the description at the top. Join it. You won't regret it. And with that being said, let's dive on in. So, like I said, anything sub $100 on QNT to me is an accumulation zone. Why? Because at the end of the day, utility will matter one day. That one day, it's coming close. Why? Regulations. Regulations continue to heat up and continue to inch closer. Remember what QNT is. Remember what Quant is doing. It's supporting and highlighting all of those use cases that are determined by regulation. Even though QNT has done an incredible move back in 2020 to 2021, and even more recently in the summer of 2022, I do believe that QNT is still setting the stage for a major move this alt season that is still on the horizon. We haven't witnessed alt season yet, but I also think that long term is where all the value lies for QNT. I've talked about it in comparison with Bitcoin, how Bitcoin was, really kind of, performing early on. QNT having 33% less supply of Bitcoin is not a selling point to me. It's not. The utility around QNT with the supply in mind is the selling point when it comes to QNT. But we're going to talk more about these big banks. Let's go back a little bit. Now, this goes back to April of this year, and I'm not paying Bloomberg, just so that you guys know, so I'm not getting access to this. I more so want to focus on what these big banks like Barclays and Citi are actually doing. They are among banks testing tokenized deposits in the UK. The UK is the focus of this. Obviously, yes, these are some of the biggest banks out there, but the UK is the focus. Why? Because Quant is a technology provider for the UK government. It's on the UK website. You guys can go and check this out on the actual government website. Quant is a technology leader in the UK. In fact, they are one of the few players that are actually advancing the UK's economy into the digital age. And here we have the latest pilot started in February. Technology provider says MasterCard, Visa are also involved in the experimental ledger. Now, building on top of this, deposit tokens. June 14th of this year, deposit tokens gained favor in commercial banking. Now, if we actually look into this, they do mention the XRP ledger, they mention Ripple and Archix, things like that. Great, whatever. But more so down here we have, as the digital transformation of finance accelerates, the landscape of money is evolving rapidly, and tokenized deposits represent an advancement in the way banks and their end users perceive and use digital currency, bridging the gap between traditional banking and the world of blockchain technology. Deposit tokens are digital representations of traditional bank deposits issued by regulated financial institutions and backed one-to-one by fiat currency held in reserves. Unlike cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin or Ethereum, which are decentralized and often subject to volatility, deposit tokens offer stability and reliability by ensuring each token corresponds to a specific amount of fiat currency. Now, again, some of the largest world banks are already testing and utilizing deposit tokens. The key thing to focus on here, all right, is where this really kind of leads to, which is a tokenized economy. That's all this is really kind of building towards. And I've mentioned this. In fact, I told you guys about this last summer, August of 2023. I said, how do I envision what's coming? Every single major nation will have their own currency. CBDCs will be this currency. Every single bank will tokenize their reserve. They might even have their own token, i.e. JPM coin, which is reserve. That's like tokenized reserves. The world is going to be dominated by digital monies. Anything and everything of value will eventually be tokenized in time. The biggest thing about the global financial system is that we are moving towards a world that is not dominated by a currency controlled by one entity. Decentralization on a global scale is 100% needed. The US dollar has been a great example of why we should not have a reserve currency. Now, yes, we are moving towards that day. And as we really look at the space, the big thing to focus on is how does all of this become a reality? Well, it's all through tokenization, and it's also through interoperability, which, if we know about quants, we know that Quant is solving the interoperability side of things. But more recently, in a congressional hearing, and this was on June 5th, we have next generation infrastructure, how tokenization of RWAs, real world assets, will facilitate efficient markets, the next generation infrastructure. And if you look at the names here, Securitized, the DTCC, some pretty large names. In fact, the DTCC settles $3 quadrillion per year in securities transactions. As we're looking at the evolution of our entire monetary system, tokenization is at the forefront of it, which also puts blockchain at the forefront of it, which also puts interoperability at the forefront of it, because all of these things of tokenized value need to be able to, be bridged on every network. Every single network in the space needs to have that interoperability tied to it. That's where Quant really kind of comes into play, but also building on top of that, Quant is also an enabler of tokenization, which we will get to. But as we really look at tokenization, all of the biggest players out there, like State Street, which is a $44.3 trillion custodian, they have, assets under custody. They also have it under administration. That's where the $44 trillion comes from, to offer tokenization and digital custody services. And this is all to support institutional grade clientele and, adoption of tokenization or, just digital asset, use cases. And also Goldman Sachs. This is just like this was literally a month before State Street announced this. Goldman Sachs to launch 3 tokenization projects by the end of the year. Again, these are big moves being made by some of the largest names out there that everyone knows. And then, of course, we have Franklin Templeton expanding their tokenized money market fund to Avalanche blockchain. Again, interoperability. We will have so many assets in the space. We're talking about tokenized things of value, stablecoins, CBDCs, all of that. In this space, there's going to be bridges. There's going to the need for interoperability is so crucial. That's why I continue to focus on what Quant is doing. Also remember, and I feel as though everyone forgets this, if you are supporting the future of DLT and blockchain, meaning if you believe in the future of blockchain and DLT becoming a crucial piece of the global monetary system, you 100% need to support Quant. Why? Because they created TC307, which is the standardization of DLT and blockchain. And also remember that they are the ones that have been pushing this space forward through interoperability and collaboration with some of the largest players out there. TC307 is much bigger than ISO 20022 for the DLT and blockchain space. I'm telling you guys, Quant is an enabler of a DLT and blockchain-based future. Now, talking more so about deposit tokens, let's go back a little bit. So, deposit tokens are so big, they're crucial, and the biggest banks out there are already trialing this. And if we think about this, let's go over to this video here from constructiontrader.eth. We have 200 trillion in bank deposits coming on chain via Overledger. Who's paying attention? And check this out. This is from Gilbert Verdium, the CEO of Quant Network. Check it out.
Yeah, and I think from our experience, we were just.
And I do hope that YouTube doesn't mute this. I know that they've been odd when it comes to any music in the background. So if they do mute this, I just want to say I apologize. But the big thing to focus on here is the fact that, yes, there's $200 trillion in bank deposits that are going to be on chain through tokenization, and Quant is playing a vital role within it.
Spent the last year working with the BIS and the Bank of England, providing the tech for Project Rosamond, and we learned a lot from that. And the main takeaway was, why is a tokenized deposit, tokenized liability, or a CBDC different to a normal pound, to a normal euro, to a normal dollar? And it really comes down to the core function of money today. It's quite binary. It's a push and a pull. the messaging system behind it powering money is very binary. There's not many things you can do with it. But once you have the foundational blockchain technology powering money, you can add conditions, logic, programmability to do different things with money which you couldn't do before. And I think that's what we're going to see is the preference to move to a smarter form of money with more functions, more features to automate workflows, to process transactions based on conditions and logic and all these things to happen and then execute and settle. It's going to be a bit of a step change in money as we know it. So from the model that the BIS put out, there will be a CBDC within a jurisdiction, and linked to that, you'll see regulated issuers being able to tokenize deposit or liability on their end and having that in the system because it's a faster form of money. It's a more feature-rich form of money, and it solves a lot of the friction and the pain points that we have today with correspondent banking, with settlement, treasury management, cash, limits, all the friction that we have with payment systems of today. You kind of evolve money to a new form, and you overcome those barriers and you overcome the friction that we have.
And I do just want to say I apologize again if YouTube did mute, sections of that video. They have been very annoying with that. But regardless, the facts are clear, right? We are moving towards digital money. We are, moving towards tokenized money. And Quant is one of the biggest enablers behind this. In fact, over here, largest UK banks join the RLN, the Regulated Liability Network trials, as R3 and Quant Tech are selected. This goes back to April. This is around tokenized deposits. That's the main platform. The RLN aims to create a common platform for innovation, including tokenized deposits alongside conventional deposits using a shared ledger. All of the largest British banks are participating, and it is because Quant is an enabler around the UK to push for this new financial system. And here we actually have, they selected R3 and Quant specifically as technology partners with the DXC, leading the system integration work. This is a big game changer. I keep telling you guys, Quant is not here for the retail sector. They don't care about retail. They care about working with the biggest names out there. They care about working with banks. They are an enabler of, banks to really kind of push into the digital age. They're the ones behind it. And by the way, some of these larger banks that are tied to this, just take a quick look at the deposits, the amount of deposits behind some of these big banks. JP Morgan, 2.5 trillion. We have Bank of America, almost 2 trillion. Wells Fargo, almost 1.4 trillion. Citi, almost 3 trillion. US Bank, over $528 billion. Again, some of these are like very large players that are all bringing their their deposits on chain through tokenization. Not to even mention that, everything of value will essentially be tokenized at some point in time. Quant is one of the big players in the room that needs to be focused on. There's a spotlight that I put on Quant for a reason. Obviously, yes, price action wise, you could look at this as a very bad thing. You could also look at it as another great opportunity in this space, because we're still in the infancy of this space. Meme coins are still the big focus. Everyone loves meme coins because we're still in a speculative and hype-driven market. We're still tied to Bitcoin. But when we completely break down those walls that keep this space boxed into this small little box, the game officially begins. That's when Quant and XRP and HBAR and all these great utility projects, that's when the real value is achieved and realized in. And all of these games around, speculating on, is it going to be worth this? Is it going to, all those questions will be answered. And that's when I personally believe the real value of these assets will be realized in. And that's when everyone will be completely silenced around, those that were doubting, that didn't believe it, that couldn't even see it. And with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if there's more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.